Coffin, and welcome back to another sports podcast. It's been a while, but today we're back talking about college New Year's Six Bowls.
To start off, we got the Orange Bowl. This year, number 7 Clemson, the ACC champion, is facing number 6 Tennessee. The game is on December 30th at 8 p.m. This year's Orange Bowl, it's actually orange for once.
Yeah, that's exciting. That'll be fun.
And this game will be very interesting because both teams will be coming in with QBs that don't have much experience in high-pressured games.
I'm a big fan of the DJ benching.
Oh yeah,
I was never a fan of him, and I think the guy they put in played.
He played
well,
extremely well.
Yeah, he played well.
He had 279 yards on 20 completions in the UNC game. So I think that's their quarterback of the future. He might be their next Trevor Lawrence. Maybe next year you could see him in the college football playoff.
Yeah.
And to start off with my prediction, like I said, both teams have very inexperienced quarterbacks, and I think it will come down to which one plays better. In my opinion, I think Cade Klubnik and the Clemson Tigers are coming off more of a hot streak compared to Tennessee, which just lost their Heisman QB. So I think this game will be close still, but I'm going with Clemson 24 and Tennessee 23.
Well, I think that's ridiculous. I'm just going to be straight up. But I did like the fact that you did mention that both teams are playing with inexperienced quarterbacks. Both teams are struggling on the defensive side of the ball, in my opinion. But I think Tennessee on the offensive side of the ball just has more firepower. As long as Joe Milton stays accurate, he can hit the deep balls. And I think it's a big test for Cade. It's a big game. I know he played last week in the ACC championship game, but this is really his first true big game start. So I'm gonna take Tennessee 27, Clemson 17.
I like that.
I agree with your point.
No, this game is a toss-up. It's very exciting. Obviously, it's a New Year's Six Bowl, and both teams are orange, which just makes it extra awesome. But I'm going more to Luke's side. I think Clemson gets the momentum from the ACC championship. Yes, North Carolina's not this great team, but they're decent. Fired up with a new quarterback, and he's, like I said, both defenses were all lately, and yeah, Clemson's didn't look phenomenal ACC championship, but they forced turnovers when they needed to, and I think that if they'll take advantage of Hendon Hooker being absent, and that's what will propel Clemson to a win. I'll go 30-26. Clemson takes it home.
Now, one thing I think is interesting is I wonder how Tennessee's offense is going to perform with their offensive coordinator leaving to go to USF.
That is a good point. Also, possibly the fact of Jalen Hyatt hasn't done it yet, but he could possibly announce for the draft and possibly sit out of the bowl game. We could see that very well come from him, and he's easily their top performer behind Hendon Hooker, but they don't have Hendon Hooker.
And to add on to that, Clemson's losing a lot of players to the transfer portal as well.
Yes.
So
and
it's going to be a lot of new faces.
Draft prospects into consideration, but nonetheless, it'll be an exciting game. On to our next bowl game. Besides the Rose Bowl, personally, the one I'm most excited to see is December 31st, big noon kickoff, the Sugar Bowl, Kansas State and Alabama. 2 10-win teams. Kansas State's 9, coming off a big win, and Alabama's 5, who didn't even get to participate in the SEC championship this year. But without that said, it's Alabama.
Yeah.
And yes, it's not the same Alabama that we've seen in 2018, 2019, all those years, but it is still Alabama. And Kansas State winning the Big 12 championship, that's big against a very good TCU team. But I just think Kansas State is they're gonna have that momentum coming in, but they're playing a TCU defense who is not Big 12 defense. It's non-existent.
Big 12 wasn't very good this year.
Yeah, it's never been existent. But the offenses are so explosive and awesome and fun to watch. But I think a Saban coached Bama can find a way to shut that down. And yes, Bama's 10-2. They're 5th. They didn't make the playoffs, but they played the Tennessee game. That game was insanely close. All that probably should have beat LSU. They went for it with the 2-point, but yeah, I got Bama taking this one. Yes, a close game, but 34-24 by 10. It's closer than the score says.
Yeah, now, I agree with Kyle on that one. I think what's interesting is Kansas State comes into this game with the backup QB, and who knows what happens with their running back, Deuce Vaughn. And overall, I don't think they'll be able to keep up with Bama's offense, and their defense is just as good as their offense. So I got Bama blowing out Kansas State 42.
I can see that.
Yeah, I mean, Bama's just they have a great resume. Under Nick Saban, he wins so many games. I think it all depends on. It's simple. The way Bama wins this game is they need their players to play. I know you got Will Anderson on the defensive side of the ball and Bryce Young, both top 10 projected picks in the NFL draft.
And then they got all their quarterbacks.
Yeah, like if none of those guys play, Kansas State has a real shot.
That's a good point because their offense is, yes, like I said, they've played Big 12 schools, but their offense is still explosive. There's no doubt. Deuce Vaughn,
and I think
the rest of it.
I'm gonna say that they'll probably be playing this bowl game just because it's kind of a bigger bowl game, and I think Nick Saban will try to talk him into it. So with that, I'm gonna think Bama will blow Kansas State out of the water. I'm gonna say 34-10 Bama.
I like that. Yeah, they'll be playing a little chip on their shoulder too, not making it in the playoffs.
Yeah. I think you're right about that.
All right. Next up, we got the Rose Bowl. This is the one that I'm most excited for.
Wow. Something.
So it's gonna be the Pac-12 champions, number 8 Utah against the number 11 Penn State Indy Lions. That game's on January 2nd at 5 p.m. This bowl game will be an interesting team. The Pac-12 champion team, Utah, does have 3 losses, but they did beat USC twice this season.
Yeah.
They are playing a very powerful and explosive Penn State offense, who only has 2 losses, and those 2 losses are arguably 2 of the best teams in the nation, Michigan and Ohio State.
Yeah.
I think the game will be a dogfight, though. But for Penn State, they are losing Joey Porter to the draft. He's sitting out of the game. And then on the offensive side of the ball, they did lose Parker Washington.
Yeah, that's.
But other than that, I mean.
And Utah has a great defense, but they need to play their best defense. They can't let up any mistakes because if they let up mistakes, Penn State will take advantage of that instantly.
Instantly.
And Clifford really needs to. He has to have little to no mistakes in this game because
I agree.
If Utah makes a defensive stop on defense and their offense gets on there with great field positioning, they will take advantage of that. Cameron Rising is a great quarterback, and he has a lot of potential in the next couple of years. But I think it'll be a good game. But I'm going to think Penn State will be the Rose Bowl champions this year. I think it's gonna be a close game. I'm gonna go 34-28 Penn State.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, I'm also gonna go Penn State here. Yes, you can like Joey Porter, arguably one of their best players this year, but he's been out for some of the season, so they have experience playing without
as well as Parker Washington.
Exactly, as well as Parker Washington. And I think a Mitchell Tinsley or another receiver for Penn State can really step up big, and that's just for their pass game. When their run game dominates their offense.
Yeah, I think this is a big game for Tinsley, especially. Yeah. He's been kind of quiet coming from Western Kentucky last year. A lot of expectations.
I mean, he's had his games.
Yeah, but he's played a little bit on the quieter side. There's less expectations of what he's had. But I think him being the wide receiver 1 for this game, I think is going to be a big step up for him.
That'll be big. And coming off Clifford, I just think the main thing I think that will propel Penn State to a win is the giant chip on their shoulder, which is that they need to win this game to be legit next year. No one expected them.
Respect.
Yeah, exactly. No one expected them to be what they are this year, and they're losing Tinsley. Washington, he might be gone.
Yeah, he might be.
Yeah, he's injured.
He does,
But like a new quarterback coming in, there's a ton of people in the transfer portal right now.
I mean, this is a Penn State team that we saw in not even a New Year's Six Bowl last year in the Outback Bowl get absolutely destroyed by Arkansas. And look where Arkansas is this year. Arkansas was a favored team to be in the top 10 this year. They're not even ranked. They might even have a losing record. Off the top of my head, I don't know, but they're one of the worst SEC teams right now.
So so if I think if Penn State wins this game, they're going to be taken seriously by fans and by kids in the transfer portal. They're going to look at a new quarterback. They're going to look at a dominant run game. They're going to look at a good defense, a good coach, and they're going to want to go to Penn State. And I think with that in mind, Penn State can win this game. Score prediction: go 31-23 31-27, Penn State. So
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I think, like we said, the DB room is losing Joey Porter, but they've dealt with it throughout the season, and their guys are good enough to be able to hold off.
yeah, their secondary is phenomenal.
Hold off that offense. And I think one thing that's like really not shown is, or really not talked about, is their linebacking core. They get back Curtis Jacobs now,
I'm
and
excited about
so
that.
they're going to be at
Abdul Carter's gonna have
I love
that
him.
game.
and so they're going to be at full strength. So the only thing that I can see that could hurt Penn State is Sean Clifford. There's
Yes.
been many games where you just see doesn't make the greatest of reads.
Yeah.
So.
Especially the bigger games under the pressure.
Yeah, like
And
the
this-
Ohio State
Yeah,
game.
this is a big game. I mean, they were up by 14 against Ohio State
Yeah.
at one point, and they let up.
Just
Four
let it
touchdowns.
away.
Yeah.
Let it away.
Like that.
So I think this game comes down to Clifford, but I think because of Utah's defense, I mean they're good, but they're Pac-12 defense. They just
Yeah.
aren't. You can't compare them to the SEC's defenses and the Big Ten defenses.
And yes,
of the world.
they only let up 24 points to USC, which doesn't seem like a lot, but Caleb Williams
He was like
playing
running
with
on
1,000
20%.
injuries.
Yeah.
Like,
He was running on 20%.
with the whole
too.
oblique thing and the pinky, he was a mess.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm going with Penn State 42, Utah 32.
I like that one.
All right, and for the Cotton Bowl, this year we got number 10 USC versus number 16 Tulane, the AAC champions, Group of 5 team. Depending on who all is playing in this game, it could get interesting. I mean, USC's coming off a loss to Utah in the Pac-12 championship, where Caleb Williams got hurt, and it's still unknown if he's playing or not. But it's more likely. One thing that Tulane got going for them is their ability to score points against the USC team that doesn't have a very good defense. And so I think if Caleb Williams is playing, I think they'll handle Tulane pretty good. Even though they're a Group of 5 school and they beat Kansas State, I don't think they'll be able to keep up with USC's offense, even if they got some guys entering the draft.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that USC will blow them out of the water, and I got USC 49, Tulane 35.
Yeah, Luke, I agree with you. Caleb Williams is the star of the UCS offense, no doubt. But I mean, this bowl game is not a bowl game a lot of people expected to see.
Yeah.
No.
A lot of people question Tulane, and I kind of do too. They did play Kansas State early in the season, but they only won by 7. It was a 17-10 game.
Yeah.
Wasn't much offense on there.
Yeah.
And USC is a great offensive team, and Tulane's defense they haven't showed up in many games. And if they don't show up in this game, USC is going to take advantage of that. Caleb Williams will see that, and Caleb Williams will go crazy. And you got Jordan Addison as well, who's, I mean, you haven't heard much of him, but he's there. He's going to have a big game here once or twice.
Oh yeah.
But I think USC will blow Tulane out of the water. I'm going to go USC 45, Tulane 28.
Yeah, I can
I
get
like
behind
that,
that. And like you said, yeah, we haven't heard a lot from Jordan Addison, but he's the wide receiver 1 for a Heisman quarterback.
Yeah.
So that
And they had Brendan Rice too, which
Yeah.
he
Now-
got some pretty good.
Yeah.
I'd love to see Tulane here and rank this high and get this bowl game.
Yeah.
It's great to see, but I don't
Yeah.
think
They just don't have the resume.
There could have been better options. Yes, it's very exciting to see Tulane in New Year's Six Bowl, especially if you're a fan. But like you said, they have a good win against
The best win might be
Kansas
Kansas State. It's only
Kansas State.
7.
They did beat UCF, but they also lost to UCF.
Yeah,
they
it was a
kind
split
of
situation.
split them. So, but it does come down. I think the score of this game comes down to Caleb, like how healthy he is.
Yeah.
If he is healthy and he's coming back almost 100%, and he's playing like the Caleb Williams we've seen all year, I think USC will roll and win this game by 30 points. But if he's like still in the air 50-50 but still wants to play,
Yeah.
then it'll be a closer game.
Yeah,
I think
agree.
that will be the closest game we see, the result for the best game we can see. But in that scenario, USC still pulls out. They're still the better team, and on top of that, so USC winning no matter what. But let's say Caleb Williams does play the whole time. Go USC 42, Tulane 20.
Yeah.
I just don't think it'll be that close with the talent USC has and the coaching and everything outranks Tulane.
Yeah, I agree.
So that wraps up first parts of New Year's Six Bowls, and we'll be right back with you with the college football playoffs show. And here we're at the projector for a little visual aid.
All right, so first up on this side, we got the Fiesta Bowl, the Big Ten champions, and then the Big 12 runners-up. Michigan is coming off 2 hot wins against Ohio State and Purdue.
Yeah.
TCU is coming off of a loss to Kansas State, not a loss that they wanted to have, but they played with all their hearts. So I like them at number 3, but I think Michigan is a powerful team. I mean, they got a great offensive side of the ball, so I think it's going to be a blowout by Michigan. I'm going to go Michigan 38, TCU 20, Michigan going to the national championship.
I do think Michigan's the better team here, but the better team doesn't always win. And I'm going to go against Evan's better judgment and say the Horned Frogs are making the championship. Max Duggan, as we know, he's great, Heisman finalist, much better than J.J. McCarthy. Quarterback play, TCU has it. Offense, TCU has it, especially with the Wolverine team without Blake Corum.
Yeah.
Defensively, things get a little shit. Defensively, things get a little shit.
Yeah, Michigan has an explosive offense.
And Michigan does have a very explosive offense, but we know J.J. McCarthy doesn't play great all the time. So if he has an off game, and as Duggan said in an interview after he lost the Big 12 championship, they'll put up a fight, and I trust them with that. I think they need to get back from their Big 12 championship loss, and they're going to make the college football playoffs.
Yeah,
and they're going to beat the Wolverines 34-31.
Close one.
Yeah,
I mean, Max Duggan played with all of his heart.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the only way they win the game. If Max Duggan has a great game and Michigan's defense somehow has clousy game, but
Yeah, I mean Max Duggan is my favorite player right now in college football because of how much heart he plays with, and I want TCU to win so badly, but I'm gonna have to go with Michigan. Overall, they're the better team. Donovan Edwards is actually starting to play good. He's filling in for Blake Corum pretty decently, and so I'm going with Michigan 31, TCU 27.
yeah, that's a good one.
All right, and now we have the Peach Bowl between the SEC champions, Georgia, and Ohio State. It's coming off a loss against Michigan. In my opinion, I think this game will be a close one. Some games we've seen Georgia, they've dominated pretty much all season, but you just saw their defense let up 30 to a backup QB from LSU. So I got Ohio State losing to Georgia 20-21.
Yeah, I mean, Ohio State is coming off of a 2-week rest because they didn't make the Big Ten championship, so they do have that 2-week rest.
Yeah.
But Georgia is coming off an explosive SEC
Offense,
championship.
yes.
I mean, putting up 50 points against an LSU team who's been very, very good this year, beating Bama. I mean, they did lose to Texas A&M. That's.
But
can't win every
LSU
game.
loses to like a.
Yeah, I mean, I think in my opinion, Georgia has the firepower, and I think all season we've seen it in every game. They've proved to be the best team. I mean, they've come into close games, but I think they just kind of pulled away at the end. And overall, I think Georgia's going to steamroll Ohio State. I'm going to take them 42-26. Georgia is going to be the national championship for me.
Yeah, Georgia's pretty much been won the whole year, and there's a reason to that because they are the best team in college football. And although Ohio State kind of snuck in and maybe shouldn't have made it, but they're still amazing, and they're still one of the best teams in college football. And they have Stroud, and they have Marvin Harrison Jr. and a good defense and a great coach, and all that stuff is going to make this a game. But Georgia's firepower is just insane this year. And yes, they've had shaky games like Missouri, but still. But my thing is it's going to be Stroud here. It's going to be dependent on how Stroud plays, and knowing that it's a big game and how Stroud plays in those. I don't think he can get it done.
I mean, we saw him in Michigan at the end of the game. He was throwing like 3 interceptions in the last 3 drives.
2 years in a row.
Yeah.
And they almost lost to Utah last year in a big game, but they got carried by.
Like Stroud said after the Big Ten championship is like, yes, he hasn't beat Michigan at all in his career. Yes, he's never won a national championship in his career. He doesn't win big games. And I think if you're going to play Georgia in the college football playoffs, you're going to have to play outstanding, and we know that Stroud is not going to do that. So Georgia advances on.
On the other side of that, but Stroud, you got to look at it. Stroud did have, I think a lot of people look at one game in particular. He had a great game, and I'm gonna say it's gonna be Penn State. The Penn State game, they were down by 21 at one point, and Stroud single-handedly destroyed Penn State's secondary.
Yes.
Penn State could not stop him. He was hitting deep balls. He was hitting short balls. He was hitting everything he could. So I think it all depends on how Stroud plays. I agree with you, Kyle, and I just don't think Stroud's up for
I don't think he is either. All right, so on to our champion of the year. Evan, you want to start us off here?
Yeah, I can start you off. So I got Georgia and Michigan, the most highly anticipated national championship game by a lot of people. The 1 and 2 seed, so I mean everybody wants it. I think it's gonna be a dogfight. I think it's gonna be close, and I'm gonna root for the Big Ten team here, and I'm gonna go Michigan 31, Georgia 28. It's gonna be a close one, but hey, you gotta see a Big Ten team win here sooner than later. So
and if it's gonna be a Michigan team, it's gonna be this one.
Yeah,
exactly.
All right.
And I agree with Evan's prediction for the national champion, but I gotta go with Georgia 24, Michigan 21. I mean, Michigan, what's gonna hurt them is their first half offense. They shown in the past 2 games that they've come out slow and methodical, and then ramp it up in the second half. But versus a very good Georgia team, you're gonna have to play outstanding all game, and I don't think Michigan can do that.
Yeah, all right. As much as I just talked up TCU, they are going in to play the best team in the nation, who I think is not significantly better, but they are better than Michigan. And they come in, and it's going to be a shootout, because we're talking about probably the 2 most explosive offenses in college, how you see it. Mm-hmm. And then, like Luke was saying earlier, Georgia's defense did nothing to impress me in the SEC championship, and TCU's offense, although they lost Big 12 championship, they look pretty decent, and they've been great all year. So I think in a shootout fashion, Georgia does take this one just because they're the better team. And yes, TCU is going to be riding high, making the championship, but I just think they'll fall up short. And Georgia Bulldogs finish the season undefeated.
Yeah.
So you heard it here. All New Year's Six Bowls and the college football playoff predictions from FBC Sports, and we'll see you soon.